Number 10. Phone booth stuffing. This list is absolutely wild. I had to start with perhaps my favorite historical event of all times. Phone booth stuffing, it's exactly what it sounds like. This kicked off around the late 1950s. People decided, out of nowhere it seems, to see how many people could fit in a phone booth. Just get them in, those tiny little, that's it. The methods here, I mean, honestly, they got pretty creative. Stacking horizontally was the key, apparently. As long as your head was in the booth, you were golden. The world record was set in 1959 when 25 people in South Africa squeezed into one booth. If you're watching this laughing right now, maybe you're thinking, why would anybody ever do this? Yeah, remember planking? That was like 5 years ago. Have you ever taken part in a mannequin challenge as well? Take those chuckles back, because we do some pretty stupid stuff now, right? 25 people in a phone booth, that is raw talent. They didn't have TikTok back then either. They did this because they felt like it. You know what I mean? Now we just do it for clout. No one ever planks just because they want to plank. It's always for the vine. Do it for the vine. Number 9, a really long party. Back in 1520, King Henry VIII of England and Francis I of France had a little meeting. And when I say little, I mean, well, you'll see. We've all been to a business lunch or two. Maybe you have one drink, the ideas start to flow, so you're like, you know what, we'll get another drink, whatever. Now you're riding a wave, good ideas are coming out, you're feeling good as a unit, and the next thing you know, you're buzzing, you're not feeling too great, you're a little bit dizzy. Well, this was like one of those meetings, but they kept drinking for 2.5 weeks. Both sides attended this meeting with one goal, to look cool and party hard. And they did it. Oh, they did it all right. They planned on this party being a historical one. A temporary palace was constructed before the meeting. It was like a party house meant for just this party, alongside 2 fountains. One was flowing with wine and the other was flowing with beer. So just, grab your hands, pick a fountain, pick your poison. Also, take your jacket off because you're staying a while. Hope you have some bread. Number 8, deadly nightshade. Macbeth's soldiers used deadly nightshade to poison their enemies, and during the Victorian age, women would apply nightshade to their eyes. Yeah, let's hope we don't see this in the cosmetic game ever again. The pupils would become larger after nightshade was applied. That was the whole idea, I guess, because bigger pupils meant that you were attractive. Sure, like, good evening, madam. May I have this dance? Like, okay, sure. Back in the Victorian era, the pale look, the red lips, beauty marks, you were trying to resemble a literal queen. So women in the 1800s would either make their own compound themselves or find deadly nightshade berries and then just improvise. Yeah, it didn't end too well. For the red lips, pre-Kylie days, the main ingredient in Victorian times for red lipstick was crushed up insects, which already could cause allergic reactions when applied directly to your lips, but the ammonia mixed in really put the nail in the coffin in that case. Deadly nightshade, ammonia, and crushed insects. What am I, Oogie Boogie? This is awful. Let's move on. Number 7, bad hair day. I had to include the tale of the woman who ate her own hair. Why did she do it? What's going on here? How much hair did she eat? I have so many questions. The Liverpool Daily Post back in 1869 got the attention of passerbyers with this one. A 30-year-old passed away in the village of Lincolnshire, and that's not too far off from average life expectancy back in the 1800s, you know, with the poison cosmetics and all. But this case, this was odd, obviously. Doctors asked the family if they could carry out a post-mortem, and lo and behold, a 2-pound solid chunk of hair was just sitting in her stomach. It caused ulcerations of the stomach and ultimately caused her death. The woman's sister did note that over the last dozen years or so, she had been casually eating her hair, just like one strip at a time, every now and then, wouldn't hurt. Well, it added up. So if you know anybody eating hair, you know, tell them to stop, please. Hit that thumbs up for not eating hair. Number 6, bombasting. The origin of stuffing your bra. Let's do it. What is boombasting? Who's Mr. Boombastic? Why is he so fantastic? What does that even mean, to call somebody boombastic? Well, back in the 16th century, if you looked like a literal couch, well, that was your royalty, I guess. The bigger the belly, the bigger the arms, the bigger the everything, the better. Size really did matter. Men and women would stuff cotton, wool, even sometimes sawdust in all their crevices. They would stuff sawdust in their clothing to appear more muscular. How hilarious is that? It's like, hey man, we can tell. You're leaking wood. The appeal was to make it seem like you ate a lot, that you were full and whatever, right? It was so funny because while this makes sense on one hand, historically, the legs of these guys were always so tiny because they needed to walk around still. They're like, well, I'm not gonna stuff my legs because I can't move. A guy the size of a minivan isn't intimidating or royal. It's actually hilarious. These poor guys, it would have been so itchy. And yeah, in case you're wondering, men would usually only stuff just one part of their trousers. Know what I mean? That's also just false advertising, my friend. Pull that out. What do you got? What are you really hiding underneath all that hay? Number 5, paper dresses. This short-lived fad was introduced in the 1960s, so yeah, we're gonna go a little bit recent for this one. Paper dresses, yeah, as ridiculous as it sounds, it's kind of cool. I'd rock one. Paper dresses to go-go. Just don't spill anything at all or make any sudden movements and you'll be okay. You're basically cosplaying Paper Mario at this point. Who wouldn't want to be in on this? The Scott Paper Company made these not expecting the reaction that it got. It caught on pretty quickly. Fidget spinners were only 4 years ago, so again, if you want to talk smack about paper dresses, you better check yourself, my friend. It only took 6 months for this casual paper company to start selling more than 500,000 paper dresses. It went so well that other companies hopped on board and they too began making paper dresses. Over $3 million were spent on this fad. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of paper. Andy Warhol was even in on the mix. It was a pretty big deal. They weren't made of flimsy printer paper also, in case you're wondering. You're like, how is this? I'm trying to imagine this. It wasn't as bad as I'm making it sound, but it certainly wasn't great. The dress was made of disposable material called Duraweave. Believe it or not, it was slightly water and fire resistant, which you wouldn't guess at first. Unlike those puffy middle-aged dresses, this was actually kind of better. It was stepping in the right direction. It's been compared to that thick paper bib that you get at the dentist. Yeah, that horrible material that you're like, oh, why is it so weirdly heavy? That's what they would wear on their entire body. We can leave that in the past, or maybe, I don't know, we'll bring it back. Let's wear paper pants. I could do paper pants. Tear those off in a minute. Number 4, a weird gift. June 1941, the Germans were attacking the Soviet Union, and it was one of the biggest attacks in history, and Britain and US had to send in weapons, supplies, anything they can get their hands on just to keep them afloat, just to keep them in the fight. They sent these supplies through the Arctic Circle. That was the only route, so obviously it was a horrible commute, seeing as it was littered with U-boats. But thankfully the British HMS Trident was there to watch the waters, and in turn the Soviets were able to fight on. So as a gift, as a thank you for what just happened, the Soviets sent the captain of the Trident, the World War II submarine, a gift. They sent them a live reindeer as a gift. They're like, here's our gift to you. It's like, okay, thank you, I guess, thank you. We love them. And the British had to accept because it was ill-mannered if they didn't. You can't just turn away a reindeer and be like, no thank you, boop, go back home. So they had to keep a 6-foot-tall live reindeer on a submarine, and her name was Pollyanna. They brought her on board through a torpedo tube, squeezed a little way through. She was a crew member for 6 weeks also. It wasn't like a haha, thank you, and then a day later they're like, okay, get her out of here. No, 6 weeks with a live animal under the sea. But she slept better than most, I'm not gonna lie. She shared a room in the captain's quarters, so not bad. Imagine the smell. Sweet dreams. Number 3, motorized roller skates. This one they worked on for a long time. Honestly, I can see it coming back in sometime soon, maybe. We had Heelys, that's all I'm saying, never say never. Motorized roller skates. This photo here was taken at the Sunoco station in Hartford, Connecticut. Context aside, this is an odd one. A guy with a briefcase is filling up at the gas station and he's wearing roller skates. That man is Mike Dreschler. The year was 1956, not last week, and the Motorized Roller Skate Company of Detroit really thought they were onto something. It only cost around $250, which today is around $2,400, and its max speed was 17 miles an hour, so not ideal. Now obviously this isn't a great idea. The image alone of the man pouring gasoline into like a guy's backpack, that just says red flags alone, that image. The biggest problem here though, aside from the everything about it, was that they couldn't figure out brakes. Yeah, they got this far and they're like, all right, ready? Let's do it. How do I stop though? Like I said, I'll take Heelys over these any day. Number 2, naval battles. Okay, so recently I was talking about these Aquaman gladiators with the nets and the tridents and how they'd throw the net on you and poke you in the Colosseum. That's absolutely insane. That's one of my favorite parts of history, all that Colosseum stuff. But have you also heard about the staged naval battles that would happen? What a spectacle this would have been. The Colosseum was flooded, which I'm sure took a hot minute, and then these ships would come out and it would be like medieval times almost, but with a splash zone. These ships were designed to resemble vessels from famous battles previously, but the bottom of the ship of course was flat, seeing as the water in the Colosseum was only 5 feet deep. So obviously they couldn't use real ships. And it wasn't always violent reenactments either, in case you're wondering. You're like, oh, Roman Colosseum days, was it like scary? No, sometimes they would fill the Colosseum and nude synchronized swimmers would come out and just be like, what a change of pace that would be than like a guy getting thrown into like a lion's mouth, you know what I mean? Nothing like an in-ground pool filled with gladiator bones. Nice. Goggles weren't invented until the 14th century either, so they just went in, they're like, That's so gross. 5 feet of yuck water. These naval stories were doing so well that Emperor Domitian devoted an entire lake to them. Yeah, it was just like Goblet of Fire. People would walk to a lake to watch this insane live performance. How beautiful is that? And then once the shows moved over there permanently, they used the Colosseum's old flooded gates to, you know, hide animals in it and rip people apart and all that horrible stuff. We love upgrades, sometimes. And finally, coming in at number 1, Comet Neowise. I looked in the sky everywhere for this thing, but I could not see it, and I was so upset. I left my house at 4 a.m. and looked up like I was in medieval times and I was trying to make a wish. I'm like, do you see it, Father? Where is it? Is it over yonder? I'm like, what am I doing? It's 4 a.m. I have to work in the morning. Why am I out here? If you were able to see the comet Neowise with your own eyes, well, consider yourself pretty lucky. It's never gonna come back. If you missed it, totally gone, forever. When the Hubble telescope took a glance at the passing comet, August 2020, even though it's 27 million miles away, NASA still learned a few things. The cloud of dust and gas that follows behind Neowise has never been seen this close before, so it was actually a great chance to study some, science stuff, as well as make a few wishes as well, of course. Comets are already fragments from our past, so these icy leftovers from when the solar system was first formed, obviously this is key to finding out new information. It's on its way back to the outer solar system, but next time we'll see it with our own eyes. Just kidding, it's not back for 7,000 years. You missed it for good. So did I. I'm still so upset about it, honestly. Did you see it? Comment down below. Comment what you made a wish about too. I'm pissed.
Starting off this countdown, we have Get Out of My Swamp. That was my failed Shrek impression. But isn't this photo super trippy? Like on the left, we got Shrek Swamp, where he likes to take a dip in the algae. And on the right, it's crystal frickin' clear. How is it possible that a single fallen tree divides the swamp like that? It's pretty cool, but insane. It literally looks like the tree is what's separating these two universes. Which universe would you want to be in? The one on the left, the duckweed algae universe, or the one on the right, the clear, calm universe? But seriously, it's insane how one tiny fallen tree partitioned the lake like that. Moving on to number 9, we have the mind-bending art. No, this photo is not Photoshop at all. This is a piece of work created by artist George Roos. He is known for creating quite mind-bending art. He has gone to a number of different abandoned spaces and created pieces like this, where it looks like you're in 2 different dimensions. The colorful fun dimension or the white and gray dull one. It's crazy how he does this only by using paint. My eyes literally can't comprehend this at all. The only thing is though, you have to be in the right location to view the image as so. From other angles, it will look messy. I don't care though, the fact that this guy is skilled enough to do this is enough for me. This literally looks like a portal to another dimension. Moving on to number 8, we have the Mexican mole lizard. I'm sorry, but hands down, this creature has to be from another universe. Just look at it. It looks like a naked mole rat, a snake, and a worm all got it on with each other, and this was the end result. Like, I genuinely feel uncomfortable looking at it. In fact, it's so unbelievable that it was even featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not, because no one can believe this is a real creature. So this lizard creature only has 2 arms. It doesn't have any hind legs. Like a normal lizard. And these guys can grow up to 9.4 inches or 24 centimeters. Like, that's insane and creepy. So basically, in another dimension, they have lizards that look like worms. Or should I say, in another dimension, they have worms that have faces and claws. Nana. In our 7th spot today, we have Schönbrunn Park. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If not, you guys are gonna come for me. It's okay. From the 18th to 19th century, the Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna, Austria was home to a number of emperors. The grounds were originally used as a small hunting lodge, but during 1683 it got destroyed during the Turkish attacks. As a result, it was rebuilt into something bigger and better for Maria Theresa, not Mother Teresa. She was an empress of that time and received the estate as a wedding gift, and everything had to be perfect, including the gardens. The palace was surrounded by beautiful Baroque gardens. The trees and hedges were planted in 1750 and go for over 30 kilometers. Every year, the gardeners use these specially constructed frames to get to the top of the trees and trim them so they look eerily perfect. This takes 7 months. I will repeat, 7 months to complete. That's insane. The way that all the trees line up perfectly is mind-blowing. It's very trippy. Also, count how many times I said trippy in this video and let me know in the comments below. But literally, it looks like this was shot in a parallel universe. Moving on to number 6, we have the frozen pond. Okay, this has to be the prettiest photo on this list. This is a frozen pond in Switzerland, and look how it froze over. In Canada, when lakes or ponds freeze over, it's just a solid sheet of ice. But this made a very detailed design. Literally, someone explained this to me. How come ice in Canada isn't this cool? This has to have been taken in a parallel universe. So there's a couple of explanations for this. One is that it froze like that because of the wind and water current. 2 is that the water in Switzerland is magical. 3, the ice sheets broke and then refroze together. But I'm gonna go with number 2. The water in Switzerland is magical. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the lenticular clouds, aka the clouds from another dimension, or some people call them the UFO clouds. So these clouds typically form when the air is stable and winds blow across hills or mountains at different heights throughout the first and lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere, the troposphere. But sometimes these clouds have formed in places without mountains or hills. So what's going on with that? Not only that, but these clouds tend to stay in one place, the place that they are formed. Honestly, this is my first time hearing about these clouds and they're pretty crazy. Like, why don't they teach us this in school? So hands down, in alternate universes they have funky odd shaped clouds that don't really act like clouds. You know what I'm saying? In our 4th spot today we have the melting building. Located at 39 Avenue in Paris, this building appears to be melting. Let me explain. So back in the day, this building was in need of some fixing. Instead of having ugly scaffolding on display, photographer Pierre Delavie took some pictures from when the building was in its original form and then printed that onto a canvas. But what he also did was take the building and distort it a little so that it would capture the public's eye. Then they hung up the canvas at the front of the house. So behind it was all the construction and scaffolding, but people would never know. This way they would walk the streets in awe instead of being disgusted by the under construction house. Unfortunately, if you had plans to visit this building today, you can't. The construction is now done and the canvas has since been removed. But I'm telling you, maybe they got trippy little houses like this in other universes. Maybe all the houses there look like they're from Whoville. Coming in at number 3 we have the Snake Man. Have you ever been eating noodles and then you sneeze or laugh so hard that the noodle shoots up the back of your throat and out your nose? No? What? Probably. It hasn't happened to you? Lucky, it's not fun at all. Well, in another universe, noodles aren't coming out of people's noses. No, snakes are. Okay, are you seeing what I'm seeing? My first question is why? My second question is why? And third is, are you out of your mind? I don't understand why this man thought putting a snake in his mouth and out his nose was a good idea. Now, there are a number of reasons why that is absolutely terrible. Not only that, but the poor snake had to go through all that as well. And he looks pissed as hell. Like, look at him, he's ready to attack, you know? Anyways, this photo is so unbelievable that it seems as if it has come from a parallel universe. One where people don't have any common sense. Honestly, no. Snakes don't belong in any orifice. No. Moving on to number 2, we have the color blocked kitty. Hands down, this is the prettiest kitty I have ever seen in my entire life. And no, this image is not photoshopped. This cat not only has heterochromia with their blue and green colored eyes, but also has 2 different completely opposite fur colors. It's crazy how the cat is just split right down the middle. She is literally half of her mom and half of her dad. Her parents must have been a black cat with green eyes and a ginger cat with blue eyes. Genetics is just super weird, man, and I want this cat as my pet. I just wonder what her offsprings would look like though. And in our number 1 spot today we have the Bajau tribe. How long can you hold your breath underwater? Did anyone say 13 minutes? Well, the Bajau tribe of Southeast Asia can hold their breath for around 13 minutes. And that's not them just being still underwater. That's them swimming around underwater and hunting for fish. In fact, they can dive down 30 to 50 feet without any diving equipment. They even have been known to walk directly along the sea floor. This image is of a child from the tribe. He's underwater playing with a shark or a fish. I literally can't tell if that's a shark or a fish. Is that child just a beast and is taking that shark down? Or is he holding onto a fish and getting a free ride? Anyways, these individuals have evolved to have an extra large spleen that is filled with oxygen-rich blood cells. That's what allows them to stay underwater swimming around for a long period of time without coming up for air once. But it seems as if they're from another universe. One where humans can breathe underwater. I would love to breathe underwater. Smash the like button if you agree. Starting off this countdown, we have SpongeBob. Who here is a fan of the sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. So if you answered yes, then have you seen the 2004 SpongeBob movie? The one where the two goofy goobers, SpongeBob and Patrick, set out to return King Neptune's crown to save Mr. Krabs, and then Plankton tries to take over and yeah. Well, if you've seen this, then in one of the final scenes, there's this whole musical number where SpongeBob rocks out to Goofy Goober. At one point, he bursts into a wizard outfit in white boots while rocking on a guitar. Well, take a look at this image. Do you remember SpongeBob playing on a white electric guitar or a weird peanut one? Let me know. I remember him holding a white electric guitar, but apparently that's not right, and he always had a peanut guitar. No, just no, that's not right. We fully switched universes because SpongeBob never had that guitar, I swear. Moving on to number 9, we have Cheez-Its. But apparently, that tasty cheese cracker is not called Cheez-Its, it's Cheez-It. Either I've been saying it wrong my entire life, or this is proof that we live in a parallel universe. Like, do you remember it being Cheez-It or Cheez-Its? Because honestly, Cheez-It doesn't make sense to me. It needs to be plural because there's more than just one cracker in the box. Now I'm just getting mad here, but someone's out there playing with us, I swear. Moving on at number 8, we have these circle clouds. Ever wondered what life is like in another universe? Well, they might just have circular clouds. Yeah, you heard me. Look at this real image of a circular cloud. Honestly, if I saw that, I would panic thinking that the end is near. Like, it's cool, but also, it's not right. Like, that's a glitch in the Matrix or something. Mother Nature is glitching. Or maybe that's what normal clouds look like in a parallel universe. Who knows at this point? In our 7th spot, we have the twins. Except the guys in this photo aren't twins. They're not even related. Yet they somehow dressed up in identical outfits and appeared at the same place, both reading newspapers. How creepy is that? Like, they even have the same haircut and hairline. Like, what is going on? I mean, the sweater is identical, same brand and logo and color. What are the odds? The only difference is that the man on the left is wearing black socks and the man on the right is wearing white socks. One of them is from a parallel universe for sure. It's the same dude, just our universe is glitching or merging with other universes or something like that. Coming in at number 6, we have the green KFC. So we all know that the KFC colors are red and white, right? Well, not at this KFC location. Since when does KFC have a green building? Hell no, that makes me uncomfortable. Even Colonel Sanders is wearing a green apron thing instead of a red one. That's not normal. That KFC is in another universe, I swear. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the photo glitch. Okay. Someone needs to explain this photo to me. It's not edited at all. The girl just somehow appeared to be gray in the photo. Like, it looks fake, am I right? How is that possible? Unless her goal was to be a gray Santa. This one just hurts my brain. Like, if anyone can genuinely explain this photo, then let me know in the comments below. Like, how did she appear colorless when everyone else in the photo is in color? I feel like I'm tripping out. Moving on at number 4, we have C-3PO. Who here is a fan of Star Wars? Hit that thumbs up button if you are. Well, a lot of die-hard fans were shook when they found out that C-3PO does not have an entirely gold body. That's right, apparently he's always had one silver leg. Okay, then explain this to me. How come when I was little, I had a C-3PO figurine that had 2 gold legs, okay? Someone explain that to me. What do you remember though? Apparently, a ton of fans just remember C-3PO being entirely golds. So, is our memory failing us, or are we universe jumping? In our 3rd spot, we have the Berenstain Bears. Okay, disclaimer. Buckle your seatbelts because I'm about to get heated and passionate for this one. So, do you remember the classic kids book being the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears? Because I remember it being the Berenstain Bears, spelled S-T-E-I-N. But no, I've been living a life of lies and deceit because apparently it's always been the Berenstain Bears. Stain, S-T-A-I-N. What? But I'm not the only one. Thousands of others remember it being the Berenstain Bears. So, theory goes that there are parallel universes out there. In this case, we have the Steen universe and the Stain universe. We lived in the Steen universe during the 90s when the books were out, but then later on, we somehow shifted into the Stain universe. Somehow, the universe ended up overlapping with ours, which is why we remember the Steen books, because they were real, but just in another universe. It's just driving me insane. Like, it was the Baron Steen bears. Okay, why would it be Stain? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, okay? Like if you agree, like if you agree. And at number 2, we have the Looney Tunes. Here's another one that will drive you mad. Or should I say, drive you loony. Sorry, I'll stop with the dad jokes. But do you remember the classic cartoon being Looney Tunes, Toons, or Looney Tunes, Tunes? I remember it being Tunes, spelled with 2 O's. And that makes sense because it's a cartoon. But no, apparently it's tunes, like a music tune, which makes no sense again. Hello, it's a cartoon, not a music tune. I just want to go back to the Tunes universe, like the Toons universe, because everything just makes more sense there, okay? They probably don't have COVID there, just saying. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Mona Lisa. Okay, this one really tripped me out. But do you remember the Mona Lisa having a little smirk on her face or a serious face? I remember her always having a slight smirk, not a huge smile, but just a little something, you know? But in high school, I was taught that she was serious and she didn't smile in the portrait. But get this, in a movie from 1931, it shows the Mona Lisa smiling. This movie is called The Theft of the Mona Lisa. Here's a clip from it. Now, of course, they didn't use the real Mona Lisa for the film, but wouldn't you think that they would get an exact replica for the film? Meaning that she had a smile. Because why all of a sudden would they use a Mona Lisa where she's smiling? Unless back in the day, she was smiling in the portrait, and then somehow we're now in a universe where in the painting, she didn't smile. Okay? But that's not all. In a 1962 Looney Tunes episode titled Louvre Come Back to Me, we can also again see the Mona Lisa smiling.
I can tell you chaps one thing. It's not always easy to hold this smile.
In the clip, she literally says, I can tell you one thing. It's not always easy to hold a smile. Bam! It's just proof that at one point the Mona Lisa did have a smile. You see how worked up I get over this? Something's going on here. We're in a parallel universe. It's tripping me out. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this, okay? It's crazy. Like if you agree.
Starting us off at number 10 is the Berenstain Bears. So growing up in the 90s, this one was a classic. It was both an adorable children's book and also a TV show. And I mean, it was just a great story about a family of bears and a memorable part of my childhood. However, you would think, being so memorable and all, we would all be on the same page about how it was spelt. Apparently not. The Berenstain Bears falls victim to the Mandela effect because despite what many remember, the name Berenstain is spelt with an A, like stain. But many, including myself, would put money on the fact that it was Berenstein, like with an E. The first time I read this one, my brain broke a little, and I still have a hard time with it. But let me know which spelling do you guys remember? Was it an E or with an A? Moving on to number 9, the Monopoly Man. When you think about Monopoly, you probably think about 10-hour games with your siblings that end up in tears, screaming matches, and somehow wanting to play it again, but you also remember that the Monopoly Man had a monocle, right? Apparently not. According to the company, photos, advertisements, and even giant balloons of the Moneybags character, he has never had a monocle. Not once. Yet still, so many people claim to have seen him sporting one for many years. I mean, it all just feels wrong. What parallel universe got the monocle Monopoly Man? Because apparently it wasn't ours. Moving on to number 8, Skechers. Another parallel universe Mandela effect in the spelling department is the popular shoe brand Skechers. Most people agree that the brand Skechers spells their name S-K-E-T-C-H-E-R-S, mostly because, well, it makes a lot of sense, but also because that is how a large amount of the population remember seeing it spelled. However, in reality, or at least in this version of reality, the brand name spells it without a T, so S-K-E-C-H-E-R-S. Now, of course, some people attribute this Mandela effect to just a bad memory or you being a kid and not paying attention to things, which is totally fair, but there are many adults who are sure they bought shoes and the brand spelt the name with a T. So how do you explain that? I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Which one do you remember seeing? Next up at number 7, Pikachu. In the 90s, Pokemon was pretty much the biggest show there was. And if you ask just about any 90s kid, they will likely tell you that they remember Pikachu having a black end on his tail. But apparently, we are all in the same fever dream because the black tip on the end of Pikachu's tail never existed. Ash's Pikachu, along with all the others, had black ends on the ears and a brown base on the tail, but the tip was just plain old yellow. Now with this one, there could be a little bit of a reason aside from a possible clue of a parallel universe as to why we all have this collective memory. It has been proposed that because Pikachu's earlier evolution, Pichu, actually does have a black tail, our little brains remembered that and assumed the black part stayed, which might be one option. But the parallel universe theory is way more fun, so I'm gonna stick with that. Moving on to number 6, Abe Vigoda. Although Abe Vigoda will always be famous for his role in The Godfather, it will never be his biggest claim to fame. That's because in 1982, Vigoda was reported dead by People magazine. The only problem? He didn't actually die for another 30 years. Even crazier is that despite him still being alive and well 5 years later, a local newspaper in New Jersey reported him dead again. Naturally, this became a long-standing joke among comics. In fact, during a roast hour, comedian Jeff Ross said, "My one regret is that Abe Vigoda isn't alive to see this," which was followed by Vigoda jumping up in mock anger from his seat in the audience and shaking his fist at Ross. Thankfully, he seems to have had a good sense of humor about the whole situation, but still, how can not one but 2 companies declare and publish that a man has died who is very much still alive? Well, some think that's because he might have actually died in a different reality. Interestingly, when the actor actually passed away in 2016, reporters were hesitant to pick up the story just in case it was an error. Moving on to number 5. Fruit of the Loom. The famous underwear company was founded in 1851 and has been a household staple ever since. But it's not the spelling on this one that has people questioning if it's from a parallel universe, but the logo. As you likely know, the logo for the Fruit of the Loom is a bunch of fruit, an apple and some grapes, but some online argue that in the past there was a cornucopia present behind all the produce. The theory started a few years ago in 2018 when a Redditor started a thread in the Mandela Effect subreddit, and they posted a photo of what they remembered the Fruit of the Loom logo looking like, with a cornucopia behind all the fruit. And after they shared that, it turned out they were not alone. The Redditor even allegedly sent a DM to the Fruit of the Loom Instagram account to double check, and the employee who answered confirmed that no, the cornucopia had never existed, but that, quote, "even some of us are still convinced it was a thing." So apparently, despite the collective groupthink, the Fruit of the Loom logo has never, to the best of anyone's knowledge, knowledge included a cornucopia in its 130-year existence. Moving on to number 4, Henry VIII. One of the most famous Mandela effects is the well-known portrait of King Henry VIII, painted by Hans Holbein the Younger in 1537. In the photo, the king can be seen holding a glove, except many people don't remember it being a glove at all. They remember it being a turkey leg. Now, some say that the pop culture portrayal of King Henry VIII is to blame for the confusion. For example, in the 1933 film The Private Life of Henry VIII, the king devours almost an entire chicken, and while portraying the king in a 2004 episode of The Simpsons, Homer Simpson also munches on a turkey leg. So culturally, we kind of have this image that he's just always eating a piece of meat, I guess. But not only that, historians believe that King Henry VIII may have been the one to introduce turkey into Christmas feasts. So in that sense, it would make sense for him to be holding one. Still, apparently, according to experts, the turkey leg phenomenon is not real. At least, not in this universe. Moving on to number 3, emojis. There are so many emojis that honestly, when it comes to the lesser used ones, I don't think I could tell you what there is or isn't an emoji of. But there are some out there who are sure that they have used emojis that apparently never existed. One of these emojis is a left-facing seahorse. According to one Reddit user, they posted saying that they are dead set and even remember where the seahorse used to sit on the keyboard, to which many other online users agreed that they too remember a left-facing orange seahorse. But interestingly, that is not the only emoji that people remember once existing. Apparently, there has never been a robber. There's never been a slice of pumpkin pie with whipped cream, a hiker, a toaster, or a swordfish. Yet there are many who claim that they have a clear memory of using these emojis. Do any of you remember using these? Do you remember any others that apparently have never existed? Coming in at number 2, Shaggy's Adam's Apple. Scooby-Doo was a huge part of so many people's childhoods, but according to some online, there appears to be something missing from the photos of the old cartoons these days. Shaggy's Adam's apple. One Reddit user, CyberGothicChe, posted saying, quote, "As I recall, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo had quite a large Adam's apple. In fact, I believe it was used for comical effect, both when he ate something and also when he gulped in fear. His Adam's apple would move quite a distance, indicating the movement of his throat muscles. Others have also noted that Shaggy has lost his Adam's apple. This seems to be a recent Mandela effect, as I have not heard it prior except once or twice." Now, many other Redditors responded in agreement, saying that they too remembered this Adam's apple. And if I think back to the old cartoons, I wanna say that I remember it too. Now, here is where it gets a little confusing. So there have been tons of different versions of Shaggy, and apparently in one version, the 2015 TV series, he does have an Adam's apple, but none of the other versions show that. Now, some have wondered if this more recent version, including the Adam's apple, is why we remember it always being that way. But then others have pointed out that it would be strange to just give him an Adam's apple out of nowhere if he never had one, even going back to like the 60s. So was it just animators trying something new, or did the Shaggy from another universe slip into this one? And last up in our number 1 spot, Jiffy. Depending on who you ask, the famous peanut butter brand is either called Jif or Jiffy. These days we are being told it was never called Jiffy, but there are some online who remember things a little differently. In a Reddit thread about the Jiffy peanut butter Mandela effect, user Albino Raccoon posted a photo seemingly proving that those who remembered Jiffy peanut butter however, were not losing their minds. In the post, he shared both a photo and a video of a restaurant menu that advertised what they called a Jiffy burger, and beside it was a photo of the classic peanut butter jar with the word Jiffy written across. Other Redditors responded in support. For example, Berenstain Stain said, quote, "I noticed this change about 10 years ago. Obviously, I didn't know about the Mandela effect at the time, so I assumed they just rebranded it. 10 years later, I find out it never existed. I'd sure love to know how I saw it in my mom's kitchen throughout my childhood then." Now, some think that believers of this particular effect are misremembering Skippy peanut butter, but I mean, what do you guys think? Team Jif or Team Jiffy?
Starting us off at number 10 is the floating city. On October 7, 2015, in the city of Foshan, China, a rare mirage occurred in which a city seemed to be floating in the sky. This was literally seen by thousands of people. It wasn't just a trick of the light or someone lying about it. The footage literally looks like a city. You can see the blocks of the buildings and it looks like a skyline. The whole incident only lasted a few minutes before disappearing, but it did end up on the Chinese news. Some people believe it was due to a government project that only the elite know about and therefore it was just dismissed as some kind of reflection of some kind, whereas other people believe it's actually Fata Morgana, which basically just means a very superior form of a mirage. Don't know why they have to give it a fancy name. Either way, I don't think a whole city can somehow become a mirage for a few minutes, but I'm also no scientist, so the wildest explanation I read was that it was part of the Blue Beam project, which is a secret project developed by the US, and the point of it is to manipulate the weather and create artificial natural disasters. I don't know why they would want to fake create that. And the mirage they saw was them testing it out to see how the public would react to it. Don't know why they did it in China though, I doubt they did, but there's that too. Coming in at number 9 is the Death Cloud. Back in 2017, residents of Teixeira de Freitas in Brazil saw a menacing sight in the clouds. They dubbed it the Apocalyptic Cloud or the Death Cloud, and the videos literally looks like a red claw has emerged from hell and is reaching into the sky. The whole thing was red and it looked like it was a shadow of a meteor that was just about to hit Earth but then stopped a bit before it did. It dissipated into nothing within 5 minutes, but residents were truly terrified. Someone thought the world was ending, another thought it was going to form a tornado, whereas some people saw it as the work of God and called it perfection. It really is a mixed bag of reactions really. Perfection on one hand, death cloud on the other, whatever you want really. At number 8 we have the Black Ring. Back in 2015 in Kazakhstan, a video was uploaded by someone living in the village of Shortandi, I don't know, the pronunciation wasn't on Google, don't come for me. They captured what appeared to be a giant black smoke ring in the sky that floated there for 15 minutes and then disappeared as smoke usually tends to do. Now this sort of sight has been seen thrice before, once in Leamington but that was due to a fireworks test, another time in Florida but that was due to a pyrotechnic test, and another one in Chicago due to an electrical transformer blowing up. Nice. Either way, after investigation, nothing seemed to have happened to have caused the ring. No fire related activity, no blown up transformer, nothing. People were speculating whether it was the work of witchcraft or perhaps the portal to hell. Filling our number 7 slot is the Phoenix Light. Back in 2017, a Phoenix City camera as well as thousands of other cameras owned by normal people caught sight of something incredible. The whitish bluish fireball can be seen appearing out of nowhere in the sky and hurtling towards Earth as it gets bigger and brighter and then disappears altogether like it was never even there. Now most people speculated it was a meteor, but many remained unconvinced and looked towards the extraterrestrial as a possible explanation. What do you guys think? Now at number 6 is the Face Cloud. This one happened in 2011 in a place called Grand Falls, which is in New Brunswick, Canada. Dennis LaForge was watering his plants when he looked at the sky and took out his iPhone. The clouds in the video are moving extremely quickly, well quicker than the average cloud would move, and the cloud formation then starts forming a giant face. I kid you not, a giant face. The face gets more detailed as it moves forward, and it almost seems like the face is the thing propelling the cloud forward. The space for eye sockets is visible, a nose, lips, a chin. It's so detailed it's not even funny. People dubbed it the face of God gliding across the sky. The only explanation George Isaac had, who is a senior cloud scientist, was that clouds come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Thank you, George, for that insightful commentary. Even I could have said that, and I'm not a senior cloud scientist. list. Coming in at number 5 is the UFO cloud. This one was uploaded by YouTube user UFOVNI, who is a Philadelphia resident. Now, we've seen weirdly shaped clouds before, it's definitely not uncommon, but some people believe that UFOs sometimes hide in the clouds to avoid being detected, whereas others go a step further and believe that UFOs can disguise themselves as clouds. I mean, never say never, right? So in this video, there seems to be a random small cloud in the sky, but then as you continue watching, the cloud starts moving and shifting in a really weird way. The cloud seems like it's reflective of light and transparent, and it's moving through the sky with a purpose and a lot quicker than a normal cloud. It's even moving faster than the clouds directly around it. The cloud also had different lights in it, and the user went on to narrate he had never seen anything like that in his life, and after watching the video, neither have I. At number 4 is the cloud wave. Back in 2010 on a beach in Helsinki, Finland, people were enjoying their Sunday off at the beach when they suddenly saw a massive dark dramatic cloud coming right towards them. Now, they initially thought it was a storm cloud, so no real panic had ensued at that point, and I don't even believe it's a storm cloud, to be honest, because I've never seen one so vast and dark and low in the sky. Beachgoers said they felt it was so low they could actually touch it. In the video, it literally looks like the cloud will devour anything in its path, like it's the doomsday cloud. I'm not even kidding you. Birds literally flew out of the way of this cloud because it was that ominous. No explanation given, just a bunch of terrified tanned Finnish people. Filling our number 3 slot is the yellow flash. In November of 2013, over the city of Sverdlovsk in Russia, a giant flash happened in the sky. Now mind you, this was at night, so the sky was pitch black 1 second, and then all of a sudden it went red, then orange, then yellow, and then it expanded and took over more of the sky as it changed color. It lasted mere seconds, but it was unmistakable, and there were no military bases near the area, so explanations involving that or disposing of explosives was ruled out. The next explanation was that perhaps it was a bolide linked to the peak of the Leonid's meteor shower, but lights from meteors are usually blue or green or white because of their temperature, so that wasn't it either. Either way, no one knows where the flash came from, but it came and went, and everyone's just gonna pretend like it never even happened. That's brilliant. Let's just continue doing that. Now at number 2 are the fireballs. This one was seen in Canada, and I'm actually speechless over what it could possibly be. It looks like some sort of CGI stuff or some effect of some kind, but it's 100% real. In the sky, there seemed to be 2 flaming balls that had constant streams of white smoke coming out the top of them. But that wasn't even the weirdest part. There seemed to be a line connecting the 2 fireballs, but it wasn't a line, it looked like an electricity link of some kind. It was a straight white line with electrical current seemingly coming off of it. They moved straight across the sky on the trajectory of this line, and no one had any explanation whatsoever on what it was, how it got there, or that energy line connecting them both. And finally, at number 1 are the dancing lights. This one genuinely freaked me out when I watched the footage, I'm not even gonna lie. This one took place in Greenwood, Indiana, and Quaid M13 uploaded quite an HD video of it onto YouTube. Now in the video, the sun itself is behind some clouds that you can see very clearly, but on the left of it there's a stream of yellow light that comes and goes and dances in different directions. It's the exact same color and brightness as the sun's light, and honestly, just imagine someone trapped a sun ray in a flashlight and then they were just doing this in clouds. That's exactly what it looked like. The video goes on for 2.5 minutes, and the only explanation people have offered is that perhaps it was a crown flash. And crown flash is due to ice crystals in a cirrus cloud merging with the electrical field of a rising cumulus cloud. I never knew I'd know so much about clouds, but now I do. While the field changes, the crystals snap and move, reflecting sunlight in different ways, hence we saw them dancing. Now some people fully believe that this explanation is the right one, and others say that there's no way that that was that. You guys choose whichever explanation you like.
Number 10. Hestilin lights. While there are countless reports around the world of floating lights flying through the sky, some say they're UFOs, some say will-o'-the-wisps, others still think that they're just tricks of the light being picked up on camera. But the Hestilin lights are different. First reported in the 1930s, these floating orbs appear high in the sky over the Hestilin Valley in central Norway, and can be of varying sizes and colors. They shift and move throughout the evening and have been documented to appear about 10 to 20 times every year, though strangely in the 80s they were reported 15 to 20 times per week. In 1983, a group of students and engineers were tasked with researching and documenting the lights to see what they could learn, and in 1998 a research station called the Hestilin Automatic Measurement Station was built to analyze the phenomenon, and they tracked the the lights moving at speeds of up to an astonishing 30,000 miles an hour. There are many videos and photos of the lights, but in 2007, a particularly notable video was filmed with one light splitting into many, rejoining and then spreading out into a straight line. The scientists tasked with measuring the data from the site say more research needs to be done, as there's still no real explanation, as they've run through all of the possible reasons for their existence and ruled them out. You can head there at any time of the year to see if you can catch them on tape yourself. Number 9. Glowing apparition. Before we get to this one, guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so that I can keep bringing you the most amazing videos. A Reddit user uploaded this video to the Unexplained Videos subreddit, saying that he recorded it the very first night he put out his new security camera. It shows an oblong shape glowing and floating across his yard, all the way through the camera's vision, and it seems strangely spectral the way it moves. Users debate in the comments about what it could be. Some think it's an insect or a caterpillar called a cankerworm, which produces silk and it's blowing in the wind, and the infrared light of the camera bounces off the silk in a funny way. But I don't think that explains the way that it moves so smoothly across the yard. Others think that it's a ghostly apparition that he was lucky to catch on tape, but we'll never truly know. Number 8. Moon music. Okay, so this next one is an audio recording and not caught on camera, but I still think that it was weird enough to make it onto this list. Tapes and transcripts were declassified in 2016 of the Apollo 10 mission in 1969, where the astronauts on board report hearing strange music. And though they were traveling behind the dark side of the moon, what they heard wasn't Pink Floyd, but what they described as outer space type music. The creepiest part of all of this is that since they were traveling behind the moon, they had no radio contact with NASA or anything else. They were totally removed from the world. So where did this music come from? Is it aliens having an interstellar jam session, or a broadcast from the moon, or was it just radio interference from some other satellite or spacecraft? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 7. Russian Beast. In this widely circulated video, 2 Russian soldiers can be seen on guard duty outside of some sort of base. Suddenly, one of the soldiers falls to the ground and seems to be dragged away by some sort of creature that we can't make out in the footage. His partner tries to help, but to no avail. He then runs inside to find more people to assist, but comes back alone, and his partner is gone. Shortly after, we see a strange figure in a black cloak or jacket exiting the doorway of the base. And to this day, none of these events have been explained, and we don't know if the soldiers survived or were taken by the mysterious beast. Number 6. Back Deck Duende. On an evening in fall, an unsuspecting couple caught something troubling on their motion sensor doorbell cam. In this video, we can see something small running across their back porch. The strange shape of the creature doesn't look like any animal I can recognize, and at times it almost appears translucent. The fact that it seems to be pacing back and forth is somewhat concerning too. What is it waiting for? Some users in the comments think that it may be a duende, a creature from Iberian folklore akin to a gnome, but these little guys aren't always friendly. Some versions of their lore say that they lure young people into the night to steal them away, so this would be quite the scary sight to be sitting right outside your house. However, some others in the comments joke that it might be one of the small soldiers coming back to take revenge, and if you remember that movie, it's about as plausible as anything else. Number 5. Poltergeist or plant. This video starts with a girl getting ready to perform a dance routine, but they captured something even more amazing than whatever dance moves she was going to bust out. As the camera operator moves to get a better view, a dark figure can be seen dashing across the frame right in front of the girl. Its strange shape drew a lot of attention online and sparked debate, leading some to say that the figure is a stationary plant that was in the shot when the person filming panned the camera too fast. But the movement of the shadow doesn't seem to line up with that camera movement, so I'm still not sure what's going on here. Number 4. Antarctic Ninjin. The first sightings of one of these bipedal creatures was in 2002, when members of a whale research ship saw it coming to the surface of the sub-Antarctic Ocean. However, when they got too close, it returned to the sea. More sightings have happened since, and photos show a strange white two-legged animal with no arms. The name Ninjin actually means human being in Japanese, but this thing doesn't look like any human I've ever seen. Other video evidence has surfaced of a Ninjin lying on the sea floor, but some people think that that was just a type of snake eel. And people have tried to dismiss the sighting on the ice as a conveniently shaped iceberg, which would make sense, but the odds of an iceberg looking just like a creature from folklore are pretty low. Number 3. Hotel room haunting. When these 2 tourists checked in to the Crescent hotel in Arkansas, they didn't expect to find an extra guest staying in their room. As they took a video of their room for an Instagram story, a strange shadow appeared on the wall, followed by something running across the room silently. They didn't notice until they watched the footage back, so it seems that it only appears on camera. I've paused this video over and over, and it looks like a small person in white clothes, but the hotel staff swears that no one else checked in with them or was up in the room at that time. The fact that the guests didn't see it until after filming is one of the most interesting parts of this though. Number 2, lights out. The person who caught this very creepy happening on camera is a TikTok personality who usually posts comedic or music videos, but this video he posted is far from his normal content. The video shows Aiden standing outside of his bedroom, telling the viewers that he just saw something terrifying. When he points the camera at his open bedroom door and turns off the lights, a shadowy figure appears out of nowhere, only to disappear again when the lights come back on. He does this multiple times, and even from another angle, where the creature seems to get closer, at which point he gets away from there as quick as he can. Smart move. Though for my own sanity, I'd love to believe that this was staged. There doesn't seem to be any camera cuts, and frankly, he's not a good enough actor to pull off the genuinely terrified reaction, though it does seem very similar to the YouTube video turned movie, Lights Out. And finally, we reach our number 1 most unexplained phenomena caught on camera, the NASA alien sightings. Most UFO sightings can be dismissed as a civilian not recognizing a military aircraft or a weather balloon, but these ones are different. In 2021, NASA declassified multiple videos filmed by US Navy and commercial pilots showing objects that can't be explained by our current understanding of physics or aviation. The objects appear to hang in the air, insanely stable, and then move at incredible speeds, even disappearing off the radar and into the ocean. One of the pilots is heard exclaiming, "There's a whole fleet of them, look!" which is pretty troubling when they don't know what the aircraft is, or whose it is. The US and other governments have stated that the aircraft do not belong to them, though some of the appearances have been above US military bases, so maybe it's a form of experimental aircraft? But the current administration has expressed concern, stating that the UFOs are of extremely advanced technology and that as far as they're aware, no country is even close to achieving. Though if it was an experimental aircraft, do you think they'd tell us? Since a few of these sightings show them flying down into the ocean, but no crash, debris, or evidence is found of them being there, that may imply that this aircraft can also function underwater, and possibly has even been existing there for a long time. I personally believe that aliens are out there somewhere. You know, with the vastness of the known universe and the possibility of more universes being out there, I think it's naive to assume that we're the only intelligent life that exists. Though I had always thought aliens wouldn't find us interesting enough to visit, the fact that these videos have NASA, the Pentagon, and so many other scientists baffled is pretty convincing.